Well, hello out there. How's everybody doing? Is everybody very conservative in New York? Christopher Wright. Here to present you with perhaps my most historical video that I've done. And it is an event that, if you tuned in for my live stream last night, it was the Conservative Republican Alliance. It's the blueprint to winning elections via grassroots. It's a part one of the series. So I plan on doing once a month, and I'm going to be recording these videos with these events. So stay tuned for that. And what my goal is to my goal in this whole, you guys know, from day one when I did the walkaway and all that stuff like that 5 years ago, I built a team. It was a small team, but my goal is to get grassroots conservative Republican candidates in office in New York. I feel that's the main goal that God put me in this state in the first place 10 years ago to do, from my friend Quan Green. You can check her YouTube channel out. But she had a vision, a dream. This is to tell you guys go in detail. 10 years ago, that I was doing something in New York very important politically. And she didn't know exactly what it was. I wasn't even planning on coming to New York. I was going to stay in Georgia. I lived there in the past for 5 years. I was planning on moving from Florida back there again. When she had that dream, I said, I'm going to move to New York. She didn't want me to. And she said, no, Chris, I didn't mean you to move to New York. I want you to stay here in Georgia because we've been friends for years, all that good stuff like that. But I told her, you said God always book you through dreams. And if you give you dreams, I was doing something in New York, political, that was very important. I'm going to go there. So you guys been watching me for 5 years now. Know what I've been up to politically here in New York, the good and the bad. I recently had 2 strikes on my YouTube channel to almost lost my channel. So I just stopped making content, and I got very upset. But instead of getting upset at big tech, because you know it's corrupt, I instead listened to my forefathers. Got up with we the people. United we stand, divided we fall. And that's what I decided to do. So I've been campaigning for the past 3 years as well, on and off. And I have met grassroots individuals, real deal patriots, people who ran for office who unfortunately weren't able to win. And this video will explain further in detail the details about that. But I feel with this team, we're going to be able to grow a grassroots, conservative-based Republican movement in New York City, starting in Manhattan, where I'm holding events at the Metropolitan Republican Club in New York City. So from this beginning stages of 40, 50 people, as last night's event was around that amount, we're going to grow, hopefully, to build a grassroots team in all 5 boroughs, because upstate New York is red. Don't forget, upstate New York is red. It's the 5 boroughs. And Staten Island is red. So that's 4 boroughs. Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. Blue, dark blue. Ooh. We're going to fix that. I've got a grassroots team, and I feel with their knowledge, their strength, ability, and just get up their warriors, God's warriors. Vessels we are to do his will, and we're going to do that. Watch this video, please, of this event. And please, if you could, I don't ask, you guys don't know, I'll ask for donations, but if you can donate to this is CRA, Conservative Republican Alliance of New York related. This is not to me. This money will go directly to the movement of the Conservative Republican Alliance. You have my word, God's word on that. We're going to bring change in New York. We're going to turn New York red. Stay tuned and watch this video. And if there's any little slow parts here and there, I'm sorry, I did all the editing myself. It was 2.5 hours. I got it shortened down a little over an hour in about 45 minutes. But if there's any parts that you feel like, okay, you feel free to skip. But please listen to every single word. Listen to every single word. These people are very informative on what's going on in New York. Oh, I can't forget, New York Audit is also a guest speaker of this. So please listen to this information, like, subscribe, share, spread this information to everybody in the country. We're going to bring change. Starting here in New York. Please enjoy the content, like, subscribe, and share. Like always, God bless. Thank you. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
the songs, if you know the words, please sing with me. Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets sang there, those birds leading there, came through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, sailors and stars single, they united flame for the land of the free and the heart of the
All right, folks. Thank you for everybody for taking your time out of your day about this event. Just got to give you guys a little bit of background. You guys know who I am. I'm the founder of the Conservative Republican Alliance in New York, Christopher Wright. And this is what today's event is going to be about. All right. Thank you. So what this event is going to be called is the Blueprint for Grassroots to Winning Elections. So what we're going to do here is that the focus is, like for me personally, I've been out working campaigns for the last 3 years of my life. I was upstate for Lee Zeldin, went down to Georgia for Herschel Walker runoff campaign, and then I recently worked the Samantha Zerker campaign in District 13 in the Bronx. So all this campaigning, I've learned quite a bit of information. You guys remember the last event I held? I was talking about the importance of getting elected for local state committeemen, district leaders, running for local office, back at America First candidates. Now I want the people to know that I went out and actually did the work myself, hands on deck. So I'm not a person that preaches from ivory towers and says, oh, you guys need to go this, need to go do that, and just come out and give you a speech every month. I will tell you to do something, but I'll go out and do it myself. So I'll get my hands dirty a little bit, come back with information I've learned, so I can gather a team of people together so we can get involved in grassroots here in New York for people that want to run for local office. The main thing I hear from everybody who's running for campaign this year is, Chris, I got no backup, man. I got no support. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is my first time running. Where do I go? And I see people are just lost, looking for where to get a place to go, and they can learn how to do grassroots. So this is how I want that place to be. All right? So you guys know this is CRA Conservative Republican Alliance. We've been doing these events once a month at one time in the past. I had to recently stop, but I want to get the routine back on again and do these events once a month at least. So I've got people coming to speak today that I feel who are very educated on this subject, and I'll give you the information you need. It doesn't matter what you do, from poll watching, poll working, canvassing, running for local office, state committeeman, district leader, name it, we got the information for you. So what I want to do now is bring up the guests that you guys see on the flyer, because they have this information that you guys really need to know when it comes to campaigning, and I want to get them up there to speak now. The first person I want to introduce is a gentleman by the name of William. Me and him have canvassed side by side, too many times to count. The first time I met William was when I met the state senate last year, and he came out and helped me on my campaign, and we had to get 1,000 signatures in less than 3 weeks. I didn't think we could be capable of doing it. By the time we were done, we were able to get 1,200 signatures. The only reason I wasn't on the ballot to run for state senate last year in Queens because I was only at the time in the area for 8 months. I needed to be there for at least a year, so I wasn't eligible to be on the ballot. But I was able to meet him and some other people who I feel can really help us out. So next I want to introduce him and let him go ahead and tell you about a little bit about canvassing and some other grassroots as well. William.
Thank you for coming out here. It's important to come out to events like this. I guess the first thing I will say is that too many people don't understand that your most important election is your local election. Now, yes, it's important to vote for president, governor, mayor, but too many people don't realize that the most important people to vote for are Congress, state senate, state assembly, city council, because these are the guys who have the most effect on your lives. Whenever you have a problem, those are the people you generally call. Now, don't get me wrong. I love doing what I'm doing. I've been politically active since 2001. I even ran for city council in 2003. And now, ever since 2005, I've been on county committee. But everybody likes to complain about this, that, and the other thing. Well, what are you willing to do about it? It's important that you get involved. It's important that you become county committee. State committee is your district leader. Like I said, I love doing what I'm doing, but with all due respect, I can't get 1 million signatures by myself. Me and somebody like Phil Grillo, we cannot do this all by ourselves. If we really want to be successful, we need 100, 200 people in every single district to get the signatures on the petitions to get our candidates on the ballot. We need, generally speaking, the political parties are organized according to the assembly districts. Every assembly district, give or take, has about, let's say, 100 election districts. If you need 2 county committee people in each election district who are basically the representative of the party, in this case the Republicans. And if you had 2 people in every single election district getting signatures, going door to door with the pamphlets, going door to door to remind people come out, vote, and canvassing and all that other stuff. I'm not saying we're going to win every single district, but maybe, just maybe, we'll actually have a shot at getting people like Samantha elected, and we won't have to worry about living in a one-party city, a one-party state. If anybody has any questions or anything, I'll be here until the end of the meeting. But again, thank you for coming out, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, William. Thank you. All right. So, with that said, this is another woman who's been helping me out with the CRA. You guys know the CRA Conservative Republican Alliance in New York has been around for going on 3 years now. And when we started off, there was in Jack Dempsey's bar, not too far down the road from here. And we just meet up there once a month. And it slowly grew from just me. The first event I've ever done was just me, Camille, and a friend of mine, Carmel Larry, were the only people that showed up. So it started with 3 people, and it grew from 3 to 5 to 10. And to the point where I helped a good friend of mine, Ian, get elected as club president, where he was able to give me a spot to speak here as well with my group. But there's a woman that I really want to get here to speak next to again, Camille Ladson. Her expertise, in my opinion, is specifically in poll watching and poll working. She's been doing it herself for a few years, and I just want to get her to speak about how to get involved. If you want to get involved in the poll watching, poll working aspect of things, I want you to kind of have her speak, and you can speak with her about that subject matter. All right, so next I'm going to introduce Camille Ladson.
I'm not off the cuff like my colleague here, but so I have written something down. Welcome to the Conservative Republican Lions Club. We're so glad to have you here today to come and support us. We're gathered here today really because we're conservatives and Republicans. We share similar beliefs and values. Just like Christopher mentioned, going forward, Our goal is to get people involved, roll up their sleeves, in any way they can help out, and to make America great again. There's a lot to do during the year. There are 12 months in a year, 30 days in a month, 7 days a week. So contributing a little as 5 hours a month, or maybe 10, 15 hours a month, it makes a huge difference. You know, we need to stop focusing on the other party and more on how we can improve in ourselves in our own backyard. Each borough has a GOP party. I'm pretty sure you guys know that. And there's a lot to be done in each borough. When it comes to the ground game, the other side blows us out of the water. So basically, we're trying to improve that. So helping out as a political volunteer in New York, it's being called a county committeeman. And you can officially become one every odd year on the GOP side. As far as helping candidates, you can door knock, get signatures, just like William mentioned. Help candidates get on the ballot, hand out PAN cards to market the candidate. You do phone calls, send emails out to help fundraise. When it comes to the Board of Election, you can be a poll watcher, working for the candidate, or you can get paid to be a poll worker like I do during election week. And you can also help the New York Citizens Audit as a volunteer. And their goal is to educate people on what it's like to be, what's going on behind the scenes at the Board of Elections, and hopefully getting our New York legislators on board to have an end-to-end audit on our election voter rolls. And they have several projects that they're working on to make elections fair and honest. So briefly, I'm just going to discuss what it's like to be a poll worker. I think everyone received a paper at the table, and it had all the list of positions that are in that a poll worker could do. Let me just first talk about poll watchers. They're volunteers, so they are hired usually by the candidate themselves. And basically, they just go around to various poll sites, observing what's going on during the elections, during the day. And they can have the right to challenge any irregularities and report any violations they may find on site to either the coordinator or the Board of Elections or a police officer. And again, these are volunteer positions, but they're usually appointed by a political candidate. And yeah, so those are poll watchers. So the difference between a poll watcher and a poll workers get paid, and they work temporarily for the Board of Elections. My job, I've been doing it for 8 years. I'm an accessibility clerk, and I basically post signages outside, making sure the entrances are accessible for disabled voters and greet them. There's interpreters. They translate. Usually the biggest interpreters that we have is Spanish and Mandarin. Information clerk, these are the people that sit in the front when you first come in, and they basically tell you if you're in the right polling site or not. Those first three positions, you could be either Democrat or Republican, or independent, conservative, it really doesn't matter. The next three, you have to be either Democrat or Republican, so that's what I learned. The privacy booth inspector, they assist voters who have hearing, visual, and mobility disabilities. It's like a big machine for just them. You must be a Democrat or Republican to do that. To work the tables, same thing. These are the people that give out the ballots. They verify your name and address. They give the voters a ballot and an I vote sticker. Again, you have to be a Republican or Democrat for that. Scanners, they make people wait online, and they give out, they help them only upon requests. So you're not supposed to take it, you're not supposed to touch their ballots or anything, only when they're asking for help. So again, for those three positions, you have to be a Republican or Democrat. And the last one is the coordinators. They're the ones that's supervising all of the poll workers at the poll site. Just briefly, what I've been noticing is that a lot of people, I'm usually outnumbered in terms of, being a conservative. We definitely need more people on the ground on election day to see what's going on the day of. Poll workers also can be pulled in to work in the warehouse to do the ballots. I'm hearing that the job is usually about 21, 22 an hour. They usually work 3 weeks after the election day, so usually you're supposed to be pulled in by a district leader. So again, usually in the past 8 years, I'm probably at a poll site full of 30 people or more. It's probably, you're lucky to have maybe 5 or 6 conservative or Republicans. There's a lot of people posing as Republicans at the table too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. So yeah, just trying to encourage people to do that, especially for the upcoming election next year. If you know of someone who wants to do that, I have applications. You can do it online. You can contact me. We have our contact information at the table. And yeah, we're still doing drop boxes. It is what it is. People are taking it as a drive-by, they're still dropping it. And I understand some people are physically disabled, but, as you know, they're giving out absentee ballots like candy. So just encourage people to be poll workers and poll watchers this upcoming election. Because we need people not only helping the candidate canvass, but we need people on the back end as well. Because I think that's really the biggest issue. The most powerful organization right now, I think New York citizens can attest to this, is the Board of Elections. They are the ones controlling everything. So, yeah. So we at least if you could be a poll worker, you might not working, behind the scenes right away. Even someone like me who's been working for 8 years, I can't even get pulled in to work post elections because, the district leaders, because I'm a conservative, and then also because the Democratic district leaders, they're pulling in their people. I'm not saying that, I don't know what goes on. All I know is the cops bring the ballots to the warehouse. It's there for 10 days. I don't know who's watching it. It's in a big gate, whatever, and, you just don't know what's going on. So, we just want to pull more people in. And also committee, I heard that if you're a county committeeman, you can also have more of a chance to be, to work behind the scenes in the Board of Elections, hopefully. Or if you know more information, you can give it to me, but I'm just hoping that people just step up and be poll watchers and poll workers if possible. And who do you want to have next?
Well, can you answer some questions?
Okay.
So you brought up something interesting. You're saying that it was always my understanding that you get Republican and Democrats to watch the polls. You're telling me that's not the way it is.
To work a poll at the table.
Why shouldn't that be equal too? Why shouldn't that be the same deal? Why should it be uneven? Are you
And
sure?
at each table, I know they have a Republican and a Democrat. But a lot of those people are not. Really,
People have to volunteer.
There's not enough volunteers.
They have to
there's not enough
volunteer.
volunteers.
There's enough volunteers, but obviously they just don't vote.
Okay.
I have basically, I can attest to several on the district assembly section where, I have gone into rooms where all the Republicans are there, poll workers, and they all have massive.
Right. And a lot of conservatives and Republicans I talk to, a lot of us work. A lot, I mean, let's just be real.
Didn't
but
you
I
just,
mean,
didn't you just say a few minutes ago that the Democrats get to pick more people, or did I hear you wrong?
They pull in their people, even for early elections. Last year was the first year I
And-
worked,
and you
and I
said-
had to fight for it.
So Republicans aren't
Yes.
doing the same thing. It's not that they're
That's
gonna
what's the problem.
Okay.
Republicans are not pulling in people
Oh, okay.
the way the Democrats are, especially for post-elections. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay.
Hold questions first. We're gonna hold questions. We're gonna do Q&A at the end, so if you guys have any questions, we're gonna have everybody that speaks here to kind of answer any questions you guys may have. So just hold the questions for now.
Okay.
Thank you for that. All right, so the person who I want to have speak next is a good friend of mine. Well, he's the one that I first met when I set out to run for state senate. I was introduced to some committeemen, and they had me introduced to this gentleman here, and he helped me, like, show me the whole canvassing technique here in New York with GOP and everything like that. And he was the main person component with me and myself, and William as well, of course, getting signatures from helping me get on the state senate race. So I wanted him to come out now because he's been, like I said, been involved in grassroots for over 20 years now, and this guy knows it like the back of his hand. So I want him to get up there and speak and go to Mike and say a few words and just let him go over a lot about the grassroots in the future, okay? Phil Grillo.
How's everyone? My name is Phil Grillo. I'm from Queens. I am elected in the party in Queens. As a district leader, sergeant at arms, duly elected by the county committee. And I hear a lot about the grassroots. The grassroots is going out there, knocking on doors. It's a lot more than, if people went to the party itself, to the political party, we have a lot of people alleged infighting, looking for power, egotisms within the parties and outside the parties. A lot of, you're a bad, chairman, you're a bad this, you're a bad that. You got to join the party. Join the party, become a county committee member. You can't get early voting unless the district leader appoints you to, which is a couple of $1,000, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, depending on special elections. And it has to be by the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. And, the only answer is getting involved on campaigns and not being distracted by things. Being distracted by things that aren't going to get any votes. Going out there and consistently attacking the party that you live in, the borough that you live in, and constantly attacking them isn't going to get you anywhere. They're not going to let you work. They take your name down. I know firsthand, they write your name down. You're blacklisted from working at the polls, so on and so forth. You'll never be able to get it through the Board of Elections. So sometimes, and that's the way it is. And, if you're a county committee member and you go and you get signatures for candidates and, endorsed by the Republican Party. I mean, look, primaries are supposed to be family fights, but the Republican Party, they're not. They're brutal, they're horrible. There's no getting back together after the primaries in New York especially. I mean, we're brutal with each other. The Republican Party itself, the congressmen don't stick together. In New York, we have Nicole Malliotakis.
Ooh.
1 out of 11 rhinos that voted for the infrastructure bill. Right after an impeachment of President Trump.
Right.
Okay? She says she did it for Staten Island.
Yeah, right.
We have freshman congressmen, 2 of them, Lawler and Molinaro. Does everyone remember the censorship of, no, not Marjorie Taylor Greene, Adam Schiff? Everyone remember that first round? And you looked at the 20 Republicans that did not vote to censor that man after he made up evidence during an impeachment trial about President Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Molinaro and Mr. Lawler from Long Island, the Hudson Valley and Long Island, voted not to censure that man, and they're freshman congressmen from New York. These people need to be primaried by outsiders. They need outsiders, not party people, to come in and, you know what, primary you for that. Are you kidding? After all Adam Schiff put President Trump through, what they're putting him through now, he's going to be charged this week with obstruction of Congress. Holds a 20-year sentence. They're going to try to burn him. It's really difficult being burnt for something you really feel you didn't do. You know, especially for politics and getting in there and being in the grassroots. Me and my man Christopher, we've gone through thunderstorms, snowstorms, rains, you name it, getting signatures in the middle of the night in the Bronx, going into the cut. We didn't care. That was this winter. That was the winter before as well. That was nuts. That's how we do it. William, too. Right here, we have Samantha Zucker right here. She got out in the rain in the middle of the winter, 2 years in a row, ran for state senate, had the courage to run for city council again in the same area. You know, we were running against the party, and I'm with the party in Queens. And in the Bronx, we were running against them. And we exposed them for who they are. They're corrupt. They're corrupt. They run candidates to make profits. And that's what we have to stop doing. Running candidates and then watching all of the vultures come out of the woodwork. You need palm cards? $2,500 to the candidate. And the candidate goes, I don't know where to get palm cards. You're the chairman of the party. Give me $2,500. Did you raise the $180,000? Right? Oh, you did. The vultures. I'm going to get you on the radio. I'm going to get this, we're going to get that, posters and all of that, inflating the prices of it and putting the money in their damn pockets. Running people just to put money in their pockets. Now, Mr. Cummings was a nice man. He ran against, everyone knows AOC, right? Before that, the GOP put up in the Bronx Anthony Pappas. Does anyone know who that is?
No, we don't.
Don't know who Anthony Pappas is here. That's who they ran against AOC the first time. And then they ran John Cummings, an Irish Catholic who doesn't speak Spanish. There's 500,000 Spanish-speaking voters in the district from Queens. It's anybody, you know, and then they put up Desi Cuellar against Tina Forte last year, right? And Desi Cuellar was the candidate. He was the endorsed candidate from the Queens GOP and the Bronx GOP. He's in the National Guard. The Coast Guard gave him a medal for taking down drug dealers at JFK. He took down like 12,000 pounds of fentanyl, something like that. I mean, the candidate, Cuban American. And so he got deployed in the middle of this race. I wonder why. I wonder why, of course, because he would have been the better candidate to go up against AOC. So Tina Forte was attacking the Bronx chairman. His name is Michael Rendino, if anyone's heard it on the radio lately in the past 2 months. So, you know, then all of a sudden, somebody by the name of George Santos, who I once nominated, who I once said was a warrior at the door. So, and he had it was unanimous. It was unanimous for him. And all of a sudden, she raised $1.5 million out of nowhere. Then all of a sudden, the party had her back. All of a sudden, she was calling the chairman, you name it. You name it. She was calling him this. I'm not going to kiss the ring of the party. I was in shock. I was at a poll site and on another campaign, and I'm holding out signs and stuff. I see the chairman with her holding out a sign. I said, oh my God, she must have raised a lot of money real fast. That's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We have to stop giving money to candidates who are going to go ahead and give it to the vultures, who are hand-picked candidates who don't talk to you like they're one of you. They talk to you because they're hacks as well. A lot of these candidates, they come in, and yes, yes, yes. It's all about money, how much money you can raise. But it gets down to, you got to knock on a lot of doors. And as far as voter fraud is concerned, the voter fraud is this. The table inspector hands you your ballot, and they put it in the jacket they're supposed to hand it to you. But what they do is this. They sit there and they go like this, just so you understand, and they start pointing with their hands at the candidate, with their finger. They go like this. They go right down the Democrat line. That's what they do. They go right, and during primaries, the party has their people going right down the line for their candidate during that primary. Don't be fooled. How many of you have ever gotten your ballot where they put it in the jacket and they just hand it to you? Has anyone ever gotten their ballot where they just hand it to you? They don't say nothing? They try to explain it. Oh, and by the way, there's referendums on the back of the ballot that you have to do as well, right? They're not supposed to show you the ballot. And when they do, it's an excuse for them to go like this. It's a message pointing at the ballot. That's the #1 way of voter fraud, right there. That, and you're not an American citizen, and you're registered to vote, and you're going out there voting, and no one's doing a damn thing about it. No one's doing a damn thing about it. We're in a lot of trouble. We got to knock on doors. We got to get involved. We got to get involved with the right candidates. With the right candidates who are spending the money that they're raising on the ground game. Because if they're spending it on TV ads and all of this other stuff, and Chinese radio ads that nobody can understand, if they're doing identity politics, if candidates are focusing on one group of Republicans rather than another group of people, we're Republicans. We don't believe in identity politics, do we? No. But anyway, with that being said, that's just a little something from me. You know, I actually threw my hat in the ring for Congress to run against Santos. I filled out all the paperwork, so on and so forth. I know I'm getting on the ballot. I've knocked on 10,000 million doors. I know that. I can get on the ballot by myself without the help of the party. And that's the thing. Nobody knows how to get on the ballot in this room. Maybe a few of you do. How to get on the ballot with the cover sheets, so on and so forth, the cures. I don't need any help from anybody. I can get anyone on the ballot. And that makes you powerful. Learn how to get people. I'll teach everyone in this room how to get someone on the ballot. I will do it. And then whatever it is, you're either a candidate or your primary, whatever it is. You want to run for office, you can run for office. I don't think Santos is going to be able to get those signatures. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them. And if I'm in prison during the election, okay, I'm not going to resign if I'm on the ballot. I'm not going to say, well, take my name off the ballot if I'm in prison during the election, which is very possible. You know, we do have a two-tier justice system. It really is crazy. You know, it really hits home for me in a lot of ways. The double standard. The double standard of this justice system is like breaking my heart. I'm heartbroken. I'm absolutely heartbroken over the justice system in this country. It's affecting me directly. It is horrible. It's been a disgusting, horrible 3 years for myself, okay? Politically, my life is upside down. My whole life is torn upside down because of a two-tier justice system. And, you know, people say, well, why do you do it, Phil? Why do you care so much? Why do you care? I'm serving my country. That's what I'm doing. By getting up and getting out there and getting candidates on the ballot and being campaign manager 3-4 different election cycles in a row and getting out there for nothing, for no money, getting out there, organizing everybody. That's what you got to do. You know, you want to be a county committee member? You got to do something for it. Get some signatures. That's the way to get involved. Anyone wants to join in Queens, I can only do in Queens because I'm not a district leader in Manhattan, so I wouldn't know. But I can help anyone anywhere. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I can help anyone I want get on the ballot. I don't care about the party. The party tells me I don't like that person. I don't want them on the ballot, and I think that they're a great candidate. By God, I'm going to get them on the ballot. And that's the attitude we all have to have, people who are not in the party. Okay? It's gotten me nothing, but it's gotten me the position, it's put me in the position to put poll workers in. And I've had an education that you just can't buy, getting someone on the ballot without anything getting kicked back at you, like you're on the ballot, there's nothing they can do about it. But anyway, good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for coming out. And, I'm glad I came in here tonight. And the air conditioning is phenomenal. I guess. Good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys got a good idea where we're coming from with this event so far. Like I said, I told you guys the blueprint, the grassroots. Like I said, I tell you all the time, it's about united we stand, divided we fall. We heard that a million times, all of us in this room, first grade, for years and years and years and years. Now it's time to implement those words. Our forefathers made this country the Constitution. They made it so we can use what this country is built on in grassroots to bring change in case we were taken over by a dictatorship or corruption. And we're dealing with a lot of corruption right now. So this is what the goal is right now, is to get a team of people together. Like I said, if you hear what we're saying, you like what we're saying, we need you guys. We need boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. That's the goal. And we're going to be doing these events, like I said, once a month on a continuous basis. Like the last campaign I was working on was a woman, Samantha Zerka. She ran for City Council District 13 in the Bronx. I had not enough words in the English dictionary to explain this woman. She's an amazing woman, a warrior, fighter. When I met her, I know like God put us in the same place at the right time for a reason. And I just loved her message. I love what she stood for. I love her, as a businesswoman and what she's done for the country so far. And I really think she has a great chance of really bringing change in us, and she's got a facility bringing a lot of change. So I want to introduce her now, Samantha Zerka. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Samantha Zerka, and a couple of years ago, I had an epiphany. I had an experience, a spiritual experience with God. I left in 2021 to educate my daughter outside of New York City. When we were in the draconian mandates with, the shots and the masks and stuff, my 11-year-old daughter then was suffering with massive migraines and chest pain. We had a very hypocritical political force out there. 1 minute they're screaming out, my body, my choice. And the next they're taking your choice away from your body and forcing injections and masks and all kinds of nonsense upon our children. So I took her to Florida, and there I saw freedom. As soon as I got off the airplane, people were not required to wear masks, not even in the airport. And it was where the emotional turmoil started with me, because I'm thinking, I just left a city where people were losing their jobs and people were not allowed to worship God. I love Jesus Christ. I love God. And I will forever worship him. I don't go to church because he's within me. The church is within me. And I love him. So here I am there watching senior citizens gather at pool sites with no masks on. And from that moment on, the sorrow, the sadness for the people in this state started to hit me like there was no tomorrow. I came back to visit my son and my husband at the time. And I came back to a third world country. That's what it looked like to me. And each time I went there and came back, it was the beginning, the gnawing, where I say God began to chisel me. So I decided to run. I got on my knees and I prayed to God. And I promised him that my run would be about God and about people. It will never be about self. And that's what I did. I came back to New York, and at that time, I didn't know much about the evils in politics. And at the lowest level, meaning the political GOP and their disgusting ways. I was nominated by the GOP. They did a Wilson Pakula for me because I was than a registered independent, a Republican my whole life. But in 2020, I changed over to independent. And it was the very same GOP, not the conservative chairman, because he was as honest as he was then, he remains to be today. But it was the GOP chairman that put every obstacle in my way. Every single obstacle. He referred me to a manager that was there to stall me. 3 months, I came into the election cycle late. So I had only 4 months to catch up to what other people were doing. So for 5 months, actually, 3 months, I had a manager appointed by the GOP chairman that did nothing but stall the process. I got rid of him, and I met Phil Grillo. He was returning my podium to me. And he asked me, how was my campaign? And I said, it's terrible because I just got rid of the manager that was appointed to me. He jumped on my campaign, and what he did with William and a couple of other for the state Senate race was what he did in 2 months, people didn't do in an entire year. I won the district. I won the district, and that hasn't happened in over 20 years, a Republican winning the district in the Bronx. I didn't win the race because of Westchester County, but I did win the district. And because I made a promise to God, I continued the pursuit, and I ran for city council. This time again, the GOP chairman stopped at nothing. He put his sister up to run a primary me, who is married to the Board of Elections commissioner. Okay? So, you know, the nepotism is extremely, extremely vast. And it is these people, and I'm not saying all chairmen are this way. What I'm saying is if we do not find it within ourselves to step up and fight for those outsiders, fight, get up and become the county committee woman or the county committee man. Step up and volunteer for, you know, those candidates that you truly believe in, that are there to make a difference. I didn't need the salary, nor do I need a title. I have my own. And I'm a businesswoman and I make my own money. I sacrificed it all, and I would again, for God and for people. My goal was to truly have the access to change the way things are operating today in the city of New York. You know, we are falling apart. We are in a one-party rule. And this one party doesn't care about what any citizen says anymore. They don't need you. They don't need us. You know, we can rant, we can rave, we can scream. At the end of the day, they pacify us and they go back to business as usual. You know, they're more interested in building tent cities for illegal migrants than they are in fixing NYCHA housing where people are suffering in dismal conditions, living with rats. You know, I know of a couple of cases where children would eat, the rat ate their tongue in the middle of the night, you know. So they're more interested in self-preservation and future proclamations for their own self-power than they are in making a difference for senior citizens. They're interested in over-sympathizing with rapists and murderers and thieves than they are of senior citizens and children and everyday taxpayers. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the budget. The city of New York has projected a budget that almost is indicative of saying without saying that each and every one of us are going to pay this astronomical price to live in this city. We have children who are being failed out of high school. They're passed along. I call it failed out. They're passed along with the 4th grade reading level, and the state of New York knows this. All the while, we have a $35 billion budget to the public school systems. This is by design to cause the vicious cycle of poverty. The vicious cycle of poverty causes more crime. They are in need of people to be oppressed in order to remain in power. We have a Board of Elections that is just as viciously dirty. Why? Because they're both in there. The Democrats and the Republicans wash each other's hands, which then wash their own face, right? How do we get them out? How do we clean this? We clean this by getting out the seed that's planted in the garden, that is producing a tree that is siphoning our oxygen, not producing oxygen for us. We get rid of these GOP chairmen. We get rid of the rottenness that is there by design to self-proclaim power. They do not give a hoot about what we experience at all I haven't heard anybody speak about the senior citizens in certain areas of the Bronx who are fearful to leave their home, or about these criminals that they're going to take out of Rikers Island and put into hospital settings without any supervision. No one's speaking about the level of child, pornography or child, sexual assault, or the rate of rape, which has increased in dramatic numbers. No one's talking about the victims. Nobody speaks about the victims. I speak about the victims because I am a human, and one day I can be that victim. Do you understand? We are in a terrible place. And I said it when I was running for state senate and many group meetings. We need people to step out and volunteer. We need people to build a fire of God in your belly and don't lose sight of Him. We are at the precipice of losing of everything that we stood for. They want to, I go to one community and I'm raising hell about building the 10 cities in Orchard Beach, and I'm called a racist. You go here, I'm called this, and guess what I say? I don't give an F what they call me, okay? I don't care, because I'm not worried about what they see me as. I'm worried about what God sees me as. Do you understand? And we need to remember that. And I don't care if you preach to Jesus or you preach to Allah, you preach to Yahweh. Point is, preach and get out and stop forgetting about the most important thing that He has given us, and that's the free will. We have free will that they are taking from us. They're taking it inch by inch. Soon enough, we're not going to have it. We have politically persecuted people who are being persecuted every single day for January 6th, yet no one is talking about the Black Lives Matter that burnt down our federal buildings, that burnt down our cities, that did extreme damage, or the Antifa that caused murder, rape, and all kinds of stuff across our states. We have yet heard of a single person being prosecuted. Yet people who dared to exercise their constitutional right, and before I say constitutional right, the moment we were born, God gave us our free will with the very essence of our first breath. The Constitution is there to ensure God's will for us. And here we are. We have innocents who dare to exercise their constitutional rights to protest peacefully, are being persecuted. We have a former president of the United States, which I say still is the president of the United States, being persecuted and prosecuted because we have this ill mind, and we have partaken in it when we decided to defend ourselves for being human. Don't defend yourself. Who cares if they call you racist? Who cares if they call you anything, misogynist or any other nonsense word? Be proud that you stand with conviction. Stand with conviction for people who are willing to step out of their world to run for office to the betterment of our city, of our state, and of our country. We need people to recognize that there's always going to be a need for more. Spread the word, spread the love. My God, if we don't do something soon, we will not have the ability to do nothing no more. My parents suffered at the hands of communism. My father spent 11 years. He was put in snake pits, Albania. Okay? He had land and he was a farmer boy. He knew nothing about politics. Yet they put him in prison, and they did my mother as well for 3 years. She was electrocuted through her elbows every time that she said she did not believe in communism. We're not too far from that, people. We're not.
That's right.
They're teaching our children isms in school that are against America. It's un-Americanism. Boys can be girls, girls can be boys, and all this stuff. Now you have doctors that won't even admit to what they know to be true, the biologicals of our human anatomy. It is what it is. We are what we are. You have history being taught in a way that is just impossible to grasp. And yet we sit around, and now they're doing more. I mean, just recently, Pride Month, the parade here in Manhattan, they were screaming out, "We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children." I'd like to see one come for mine. Because God gave me free will, and I sure as hell will use it right on the head. Point is, it's too damn much. It's too damn much. How much more? So we can have these meetings, and I'd love to be a part of it every single month. I want to invigorate the minds and the hearts and the souls of people. If you do it for nothing, do it for God. And if you do it for nothing else, do it for the future of our children. One day this government will own their voice. And we will either sit back and say, we fought like hell and that's why they have a freedom to speak. Or we sat back and watched them take the voice of our future. And the future is our children. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you.
All right, folks. Yes, so again, like I said, this is where we're about right now. We're in those times where we need boots on the ground more than anything else, because we need people to really get out there and back these candidates who are here and speak today, you know, and help them out with what we're doing. Stephanie, oh, sorry. I have my name. All right, Stephanie.
I want to start by thanking everyone for coming out on this most glorious summer day. We don't get many of these days in New York City, and this is probably one of the best summer days. So thank you for being indoors with us here at this event to talk about grassroots efforts. I want to thank Mrs. Neal for inviting us back. What we have done in the last 2 years of our organization's work is really compelling, and we really do appreciate you giving us this time to listen to what we've done. New York Citizens Office, start again. New York Citizens Audit is a grassroots organization that started 2 years ago, and we started because we started looking at the down ballot races in New York State. What happened to our local races, the city council races, the town board races, all of these races that candidates were winning, and we were questioning, is this the right outcome of the race? So the grassroots effort for all citizens across the state, we even have citizens who left New York during the pandemic times who are coming back and assisting us as well. We're a nonpartisan organization. Is it better down here? We are a nonpartisan organization. Is that better? Okay. We are also a 501c3. Our website is auditny.com. We obtain our information through open source auditing. What does that mean? We use the FOIL process, which is the Freedom of Information Law. The 3 sources of data are the New York State Board of Election voter rolls from October of 2021, the county voter rolls. A note here is that not every county of the 62 counties complied with that test. And we also use the New York State Secretary of State's official website. So if any of the data is ever questioned, you have to question our state officials, because theirs is the data that we're using. The 3 basic tenets of any election is that the voter rolls must be accurate. That's not asking for too much, we think. Voters counted must be qualified electors. That's taken right from the New York State election law. The number of votes must equal the number of voters. Again, simple, not asking for too much. At the end of the day, when you check your bank account, you deposited $100, you receive the extra $100, you now have $200 in the bank. Very simple. So the summary of our findings, think of it this way. You have 1.1 million people who are registered to vote. Could you imagine that 2.4 voter IDs are attached to those 1.1 individuals? Doesn't really match that bank account scenario, does it? 338,000 more votes than voters? How could there be more votes than actual voters? Again, incongruent with the bank account having a balanced statement at the end of the day. And this one is especially interesting for those of us who live in New York City. 195,271 votes cast in New York City that were missing in the New York State voter database. So again, another incongruent result from a county record to the state record. And the bank account is unbalanced. So finding these numbers, we can ask our state to do an end-to-end audit. And in our grassroots effort, that's what we're doing. We have a petition up front here that we would like to ask each and every one of you to sign and be part of our grievance to the state. We are also taking a resolution that you can find at auditny.com/documents. And in that resolution, we're taking to the town boards and asking them to join us in their capacity as a town board and asking the state for an end-to-end audit. Other efforts, we're also educating the public. There are groups out there, we're nonpartisan. We will go to any group. If it's a veterans group, if it's a Democrat group, if it's a Republican group, if it's a conservative group. We will show up, we will bring our findings, and we will talk with everyone. This is not an issue that is party line based. This is not an issue that will end with a single party taking part in it. This is an issue that every citizen needs to be activated to take part in. So I ask that today you take our brochures with you and you call 5 friends and you talk to your 5 friends about our findings. And you ask them to go to the website and view the findings and to share it with 5 more friends of theirs. That's how this grassroots effort started, and that's how this grassroots effort will go forward. And that is how we complete the task for the end-to-end audit. Because it is that end-to-end audit that brings the truth of our elections in New York State to light, and it is that truth that brings to us a resolution that is sound for every citizen in this state. There are opportunities to join our organization as a volunteer. We're always looking for people to come and join our team to do fundraising, to do public relations, if you have IT experience, if you have business experience, if you're good at design and graphics, I would especially enjoy you coming to participate. We're also working through Canvas efforts, and we have our local strike teams throughout the state. There are 62 counties, and I'm happy to report that we have 44 active, is it 44 still, Danielle? About 44 active teams across the state working toward each of these projects daily. So why did I do this? Why did I become myself a volunteer for New York Citizens Audit? I have no children, I have no ties I can pick up and leave New York whenever I want. This is home. This is home, and it will always be home. So I ask that each and every one of you take the brochures that we have, learn 2 of the facts that are inside of it, that you can speak to people on the streets every day. We have a volunteer here who does it every day outside of her building, and she has conversations with wonderful people from all over the world. And they meet her and they thank her for every effort that she's doing. And I thank her for every effort that she's doing. Our team has coalesced, we've come together very strongly, and we invite you to be part of the family. Thank you.
Anyone has any particular questions about citizens audit? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah.
You know, I'm a registered independent. And I'm here when I get people to come to the meetings. I was also there on January 6th. And my problem is why I have not made a commitment, and I'm conservative, to the Republican Party before I go ahead and go this year. I, as a Black American, will never, as long as I'm on this earth, vote for the racist Democratic Party. I moved to, I was a Bernie Bro, Jim Brown, Merkel came to Jim Stein, both of which were disappointments. And in the last election, I voted for Trump. I have every intention for voting for Trump. I don't even vote, wouldn't even consent, RFK Jr. And why? He's a Democrat. Why? I don't believe in killing babies, and I don't believe in open borders. And if you are a Democrat, you believe in all else there. If you are independent and give out
Battery's not charging, I don't know why.
and Trump is
This thing doesn't charge too.
That's right.
Give me a second.
But I don't feel like I really have.
You want to unplug
Plug it
this
in.
here?
Once again, we'll see. Try and plug it.
I changed my,
I guess it drained. I
I voted that over to Republican, and then after the election, I re-registered as an independent. Where is my place? I'm willing to do phone calls, and I'm willing to go out and do the phone thing. But I'm willing to do phone calls for any candidates that are running to give them every right. The Republicans are not doing anything, Senate or Congress. We have this corrupt president, his son. I can go to jail if I don't pay my taxes and everybody else in this room. Secondly, I can see the Republican Party, and we do have a few senators and congressmen, are really helping fund black candidates who run, such as Joe Spaniel, who was running for mayor this last time. I talked to everyone about black friends, but what do you guys think? What this gentleman over here, Phil, if I know candidates, I'm willing to make phone calls. Somebody needs to get in touch with me. You want help, I'm willing to help. Another thing I want every person in here to do is reach out to black American friends.
Absolutely.
Tell them about the racism of the Democratic Party and why you're never going to ever get anything from them. I do it. So if you do have black friends, you need to be talking to them about the benefits of becoming a non-violent Republican.
Thank you.
As I said in the general election,
Absolutely.
I do vote Republican. That's all I wanted to say.
So like I said, you can be on the ground, like Phil Willow said, canvassing for the candidate, and the other way is to do phone banking and phone calls and emails. I've done that for Zeldin. What I'm noticing here is that there's really no central location for candidates, because there's not a lot of conservative Republican candidates that run every year, but we don't have a centralized location to do emails and phone calls and stuff like that, for people who are unable to physically go out and canvass. But having said that, that's one of the things you can do. Is there anyone else that have any particular questions for Phil, Samantha?
Well, I'd actually like to just add on to that,
Okay.
because I didn't have the opportunity, it slipped my mind.
Okay.
William, Phil, and Christopher Wright
Mhm.
knocked on, I helped, but I wasn't there every single day.
Mhm.
Am I right, Phil, about 8,000, 9,000 doors, about 9,000 doors to get just over 1,000 signatures.
Okay.
So it was extremely taxing. I participated,
Right.
but not as much as they did, okay?
Right.
It's extremely taxing
Right.
to get the signatures. It can be done, they've done it. These three guys are unbelievable. They stop
Right.
at nothing.
Right.
They are amazing at what they do. But if we were to build, a coalition of people, can you imagine how many more candidates, good fighting candidates we
Could
could
have
bring
a
to the
chance.
table? That, and get them, where they need to be as far as in office to do the right thing for people. I just wanted to point that out. I wanted to say thank you, Christopher. Thank you, William. Thank you, Phil. They're
Right.
amazing.
Right.
They're amazing.
So you have thank you too for telling us. So there's a ground game, but there's also a lot that's happening behind the scenes as well. So we don't want to, we want to give people a place to come and talk about their experiences. There's canvassing, there's poll watching, there's the New York Citizens Audit, who's doing the back end, so to speak. But, we don't want to pigeonhole everyone, but we want to show that doing anything is better than doing nothing, because we're in the echo chamber a lot. Josephine?
Yeah, I have two questions. One for Steph. Can you elaborate, because this is what's happening, especially in Queens, okay? There's a lot of good, solid candidates this year. Samantha's one, Amazing. I'm so impressed, and it's very hard to impress me in politics from either party, okay? I'm always on the lineups, and they know me, and I know them. There's a lot of solid candidates this year, okay? The problem that I'm having, I've gotten a lot of flack for it, okay? There's a lot of reliance on people that have been working a lot in the Board of Elections, and they have a history, and they do really good what they do, getting signatures and stuff like that.
Right.
I was wondering, can you elaborate, because the big thing now, they're pushing this magic bullet of ballot harvesting. They're pushing it like there's no tomorrow. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because Trump said that's an abomination, quote unquote.
Well, when you have 1.1 million registrants with 2.4 registrations, you can ballot chase all day. You will never catch up because they have counterfeit voters embedded in the voter rolls. Our chief researcher has been peer-reviewed and published in a scientific journal with his findings of the algorithm embedded in our voter rolls. So how does any political party say they won an election when an election cannot be certified in the state of New York because an algorithm is embedded in our voter rolls? And I think Diane is here as well, and Diane can speak to that as well because she has firsthand experience with that effort as well.
You're talking about the machines, right?
Yeah, well,
Software,
not the machines, the voter rolls.
the algorithms.
The algorithms,
software.
it's like, it's embedded, like computer programming, you have coding for programming. Yeah, New York State database. I'm learning this as I'm.
Yeah, but how does it work? How does it work? Because I heard you before and I don't really
I
grasp
am
it.
not a cyber expert, but there is one word you can go home and look up. It's steganography. So what they have is in the voter rolls, so every registration, but let's say on the 10th line, there's a counterfeit voter, and then you go to the next 10th line, there's a counterfeit voter. Then you go to the 100th line, and there's another counterfeit voter. So all of the counterfeit records are applied with the algorithms embedded into the voter roll so that they can identify them and attach a vote to that.
It's done in a mainframe, behind the scenes, not done with the machines.
Software.
I don't know what mainframe is, but it's embedded. There's 4 algorithms embedded in the code inside the database with the registrations, and it's obscure. You cannot see it. However, it can be multiplied. If you download a copy of the New York State database, you can find it because it's in there. It was, from what we can tell, from what the researcher said, it was embedded on the creation of the New York State database in there, and that's why, even though Judicial Watch got those 400,000 registrations removed, when we inquired about the copy of the database, there was 500,000 excess there because it repopulates automatically. So,
Lou has a question. It explains our conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So,
on auditny.com, there's under voter education, there's a video that explains the entire finding.
By the citizens.
Of the research
By the
findings, and there are documents and data reports on the website. Very.
come on, say if you heard so much, speak on the mic.
Okay, my name is Danielle. On the website, auditny.com, there's so much detailed research because we want to inform people. And Steph and I were people. We're data people. So we can direct you to the research, but we're not going to explain it for you. We give a general overview of what we do, and you are more than welcome to go on the website, look at our videos, documents, data, and if you have any questions, you can email info@auditny.com, and you'll get a response. That'll go directly to the person that can answer your question.
Also, in addition to that, there's a Substack that we can lead you to that explains the methodology of the research with the algorithm, how it was discovered, and explaining how it functions very clearly.
And we found a key to the code in New York, and our research department is also helping other states, and that's why our group has been going national, working with other teams, grassroots teams, that have been trying to do things in their state, and so we've given them the key to their database also. We've been helping them to find them. All the different, there's different codes in all the databases.
Lou?
Yeah, question I have, with the end-to-end audit being the annual, right? To get that published.
That's the current end goal, right? But that will expose the bank account, in other words, right? So when you do an end-to-end audit, it shines the light on the bank account. Are the deposits equaling the balance at the end of the day? Correct.
What I want to know is who's supposed to be interested in it, and that is disinterested, that should be interested. Oh, another thing I want to know is a dollar amount. What would $2 million do? What would it allow New York City Citizens Audit to accomplish in a 3-month time frame? Is there a specific dollar amount to just get this over and done with? And who are the people that's supposed to care that for whatever reason they're not?
Well, you can start with the GOP because they got all the information.
Basically,
Right, exactly.
we've gone to the New York State Assembly, the Election Law Committee, and done a full presentation for them. I think the New York State Election Law Committee would be interested. We did not get a response. We've gone to 29 county legislatures because the counties are actually responsible for the elections, the administration of the election. However, the counties really can't do anything because the state database is not accessible to them. So all of this information is not really accessible to the counties that are responsible for the database, which is probably done by design. So they can't check the state board numbers. So what we're doing is we have been going through the towns to get as many people aware of it. But there are other options, and if we had $2 million, I guess we would probably hire a bunch of lawyers and to find the best way to make the people that are accountable I guess to feel the pain a little bit, or to bring it to court and make them accountable. Because there is somebody that did this, there are people that know about this.
Right.
And so we just need the strategy and the legal.
He sold not money. He knew about this election fraud. He knew pass that information. He sold. He sold the deal about it. The state, Albany, for the GOP. He knew about it.
Oh yeah, we gave our
From my
information.
understanding also that Attorney General,
Everybody knows.
We went to the state police. Everybody.
and the media never reported. You guys had a press conference in Albany. No one showed up.
Also, there's a woman by the name of Claudia Tenning. Claudia Tenning is responsible for voter integrity, and she hasn't done anything. She has also.
So the money that you're raising now, where is it?
Well, our goal is to, we're 100% volunteers. Even the executive director is a volunteer.
No, where's the money that you're raising going?
Oh, well, we're not raising that much money.
We will be raising money and it will go toward the lawsuits.
Yes.
There will be a national effort as well as a local
And
effort.
also our.
Now, do you guys pick the lawyers? Is that,
Yeah.
Can't find one.
So you guys
Yes,
pick the
we will
lawyers.
pick the lawyers, we will work on the strategy internally.
Yeah, the strategy, yeah. And not that we haven't
So you
spoken
guys
to
pick the
anybody.
lawyers that pay for it,
Correct,
right?
correct.
And what would be wrong with using, let's say, a lawyer who has worked for the GOP before?
We're not against anything. We're not taking
No,
lawyers.
Marley?
No, Marley's not here.
Molly,
Yeah.
if there's a lawyer that's interested.
What about American Civil Litigation? Have you ever contacted them? ACLU? I know the liberals, but you know.
I don't know, we're not in that department, but I'm sure they've
It's
explored.
just very
many
hard
options.
getting a lawyer here in New York. You gotta go national.
New York.
There's just so much corruption here. It's impossible.
Very brief. We're going to get to Q&A. We haven't gotten to that point yet. Hold that for 1 second. She's going. Oh, okay. One more question, then we go to the next speaker. Go ahead.
My name is Pai. so you don't. No, I'll do that first. So just so you don't feel too discouraged, I invited a friend who is the current director of the Manhattan Board of Election Companies meeting. Was busy. I did take a picture of your flyer and I texted it to him and I asked him to look at these numbers in comments, and he said, well, the flyer doesn't quite explain the numbers. Looking at the flyer more carefully now, I see there's a little asterisk that says, to see where these numbers come from, look at our website. And you, in addition, mentioned, besides the website, which has a video explaining it, there's also something, you have a Substack, and you have one person who's a technical genius who knows the whole story. If that's possible, maybe I can give that fellow's email to this friend, because he's a very good guy and very honest, and I'm sure he might look into it. And he's very also technical and would love to probably analyze it better than I could. Also, I'm probably going to see if I can get you guys invited to speak at all the other clubs, most of which start having meetings again in September, one or two in August, but most of them in September. Okay, that's basically what I want to say about that. As far as Phil, and you mentioned AOC and Cummings, I'll mention sort of a gossipy item I heard. I haven't really confirmed it. I was told that Cummings got, I don't know, $5, $6, $7 million in contributions from all over the country because people hated AOC, and somebody in Iowa or Kansas who didn't even know, they'd send in $5, $10, $20, and it ended up to several million. What did he do with this $5, $6, $7 million? He paid himself $1 million, I've been told. He paid his campaign manager $1 million, I've heard. He paid his consultants $1 million each, which are unheard of numbers. He went out whining and dining and living the high life, and the last few weeks he made a cosmetic attempt at campaign. In other words, using him as an example,
That's
the
right.
Republican Party in New York City
Thank
is
you.
a scam, a total scam. It's a money collecting.
It's not a rumor, it's the truth.
Okay, well, that's even worse.
We need clubs like you to get the word out on New York Citizens Audit and how to correlate, like Samantha was saying, volunteers and boots on the ground, like Chris was saying. Because from what I understand, the last 2 years, a lot of clubs, they love to present, people go home. But they don't give the blueprint on how, what are the Democrats doing on their side to win? You know, we don't even have our game together. We need hundreds of volunteers in each bubble.
Let me answer this question.
Okay.
So I know that $1 million allegedly went to, say, if you're the chairman of the Republican Party, like Cassie McKee's daughter over here in Manhattan, right? That's how I know her. You don't even know her first name. Okay. So, you know, it's a non-paying position. You're not supposed to make any money at all. It's a party position. Wait, same thing. You know, I'm in a party position, it's non-paying. So, what the chairman of the Bronx GOP did was he found Mr. Cummings to run against AOC, raise the money with him. You know, they have like, in other words, it's hard. If they raise you $100,000, they keep $90,000 and they give the candidate $10,000. I don't know if anyone knows that. So there's firms out there, okay? These are the vultures. They come in, they say, oh, a candidate. Everyone wants to run for that race because they want to raise money. So the chairman of the Republican Party managed his campaign and allegedly made $1 million off of that. So he nominated him, found him, nominated him as the chairman, put him in that position, and then made money and profited off of his campaign. He should be ashamed of himself.
So
that's corruption.
So what do we do against all these GOP chairmen? Because
You
GOP,
expose them.
every
You
borough
expose
has a GOP chair.
You expose
I have their names listed on the table, I have their emails. Okay, so maybe we can all
Republican reorganizations. Republican reorganizations. That's how we do it. That's how we get it done. This is what the goal is for this meeting, by the way, here, folks. It's what we're doing here. So we're getting the teams together and doing this.
You're not going to get this open discussion anywhere else.
No.
So,
No, they're in the Hamptons right now, relaxing. That's what we're here for. All right, go ahead. Samantha, want to say something real quick, Samantha?
come here, Phil.
Yeah, you both. Phil, Samantha.
Come here, buddy.
Wait. Now, hold on. Hold on. All right, before we do this, real quick, hold on a second. All right, so before we go to this speech, we're going to do one more speaker, and then we're going to go with what we have to say here with Phil and Samantha and everything like that. You guys, we're going to go in. So Diane, that's the next speaker we're going to have. She's going to be in here for a lot. Before I let this woman speak, I'm going to say right now, this woman, knowledge is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Diane's name. This woman knows her stuff.
That's right.
We've done a few podcasts together, as you guys know. My comments always blow up when I'm not bragging. I don't care about comments. I'm just saying blow up in terms of people loving the knowledge this woman has. Because I have questions. I have questions for days. I can go do an interview with her and I have a million questions. And she not only answers questions in very great detail. So this is why I want her to come speak, because she knows about voter fraud and everything like that. This is a woman who knows better than everybody in this whole entire room. So I'm going to let her speak now, Diane.
As most of you may know, I ran in the 2022 elections against Chuck Schumer as an independent. And the state, the two-party, the duopoly, conspired to triple the signature requirement to get on the ballot. So to run as a statewide candidate in either a minor party, libertarian, green, or whatever, independent, instead of 15,000 ballot signatures, we had to get 45,000 ballot signatures in the same 6-week period. And the lawyers for the State Board of Elections and others, because I joined the Libertarian Party on a couple lawsuits and this and that, these people are so disgusting and so arrogant that when we said one of the challenges was that in the wake of the COVID lockdowns, population was a third or whatever at churches and this and that. So we said, well, you may say it's no longer a state of emergency, but this makes it more difficult. They should lower them. And they said, if people are afraid to sign the petition because of COVID, which wasn't what we asked, they said, you can make an appointment. No one is preventing, and this is in writing in a legal document, no one is preventing the candidate from scheduling an appointment on Facebook or the phone to get a signature. Now, Phil, can you imagine scheduling 45,000 appointments and saying, oh, you live 3 hours away, I'll drive 3 hours for one signature? And they said that seriously in one of their legal documents. It's unbelievable. So my campaign, I told my volunteers we did not pay people to petition, I did not pay people per signature. I said, we are doing something impossible. We're doing it because these people are going to get us in a nuclear war, which is where we are headed right now. And therefore, we are going to deploy 7 days a week, 24/7. We had a conference call every single night. I had 200 volunteers. We turned in 66,000 signatures. And I became the first person in the state ever to do it and the only person. The Libertarian Party didn't make it. The Green Party didn't make it. They couldn't do this. I'm about to do it again because I'm now running against Gillibrand as an independent. In 2024, Schumer refused to debate debate me, and when you say elections are rigged, they are rigged from top to bottom, inside, outside, backwards. For example, you don't have to worry about ballot harvesting or algorithms or anything to see now that the FBI and everybody knew that Hunter Biden's laptop was real, and it was suppressed for what? To change the outcome of the election, right? Is that not fraud right there before you even get to the polls? Right? Exactly. So I got on the ballot. The state said in their little thing about why they did this, you have to demonstrate you're not frivolous. All right, I demonstrated by their idiotic standards that I was not frivolous. Schumer, of course, refused to allow me in the debates. He debated Pinion, who has the same policy on him as him on
Thank you. That's
war and
another one.
everything else, basically. But at any rate, they would not allow me in the debates. The television station said you can only be in the debate if you're showing 15% in the polls. So my campaign manager said, what are your polling agencies? I had gotten calls because I had so many volunteers. You also get good intelligence. They said, hey, we got a call from someone polling us about who we're voting for Senate. And when we said Diane Sayre, they said, oh, you're not allowed to choose her. You have to choose. Yes. So we got the 4 polls, and we got the questionnaire that they were asking the voters. Not one of the 4 polls included my name. So how could you get 15% on a poll you're not even mentioned in to be allowed to participate? That's the other way that they steal the election. Then there was one poll that mentioned my name, which showed me that about 5% of the vote statewide, which is very, very high for an independent. It's about triple what people get. So election night comes, and I'm watching the vote on television, and my vote gets up to 57,000 votes, and I'm saying, all right, well, maybe they're going to credit me with at least as many votes as I got signatures. Maybe we'll get up to 66,000. But then this really weird thing started happening. My vote total started going down.
How's that?
And that's when people started taking screenshots everywhere. So I had 57,000, then I had 53,000. Then the next morning I got a call, hey, I see you got 29,000 votes. I said, what? So then I started looking. Then what I discovered is the State Board of Elections said that my vote was going to be 25,000.
Wow.
And if you added up all the votes by county, it was still at about 30,000, 29,000. So I said to my husband, I said, can you quickly get a screenshot of what my vote total is in every county, because then we're going to see which counties they take the remaining votes from. So sure enough, he got the screenshots, and 3 more counties had my vote go down. And by the end of the week, because everyone knows now we don't have an election day, we have a season, right? So by the end of the week, the county totals matched what they said in the state. And in my county, Rockland County, my vote election night was 6,212, 5.8%, sort of corresponding with the poll. Well, the next morning, my vote was 177.2%. And I went to the Board of Elections and asked for a timestamp. How do you do this? And they had flipped my vote with what they call the blank voters, so that the people who supposedly voted and didn't vote for anyone was 6,212. Exact same number, but by the end of the week they had changed that too, so you couldn't say it was the exact same number. And on this party thing, I just want to report one thing was you could go and watch, and this is obscene because it's our military people who are voting overseas. And I don't know if you realize, I had heard this in Illinois, the ballots that they send you overseas in the military are not the right shape to be scanned through their machines. So they send them to a team, and I went and witnessed this because I was asking all these questions, and they're seated in pairs around the table. What is it? A Democrat and a Republican side by side. What are they doing? They are transferring by hand the vote of the military person to the thing that's gonna go through the machine.
They can find every which way.
It's so, and you're like, you know, when you see this, you say, ah, this can't be happening, right? So that's that. Now, and why is this so urgent? And just back, I have two announcements, and then I'll be quiet. We are about this close to nuclear war, and it is that dangerous also because we have a senile president who is a criminal with a criminal son. And someone has pointed out, I think rightly, not only is Biden supposedly up for re-election, and it's the biggest insult, and they obviously think we're morons, that you could put a guy who can't walk up and down from the stage up for election. But he also has to deliver a victory in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine defeating Russia is like Mexico defeating the US. It ain't happening. So what do you resort to get that result? And I would remind people, this president has done every single thing he said he would not do. We were not going to send tanks, we sent tanks. We were not going to send long-range missiles, we're sending long-range missiles. We were not going to send F-16s, we're now sending F-16s. Then we're out of ammunition because thanks to our genius economy, we had a post-industrial economy. That means you don't produce anything, you just consume. So we're out of ammunition. So Biden says we're going to send cluster bombs. Cluster bombs kill for generations. They have a life expectancy of 20 years. The cluster bombs we are sending were produced in 1987, do the math. They're past their expiration date. What does that mean? They're going to have a very high rate of duds. What does that mean? That means it's going to land there, it's going to be in the ground for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Do you realize in Laos, children, over 100 children per year are being killed by American cluster bombs that we dropped there in the 70s, 60s, and 70s? So we are sending this great gift so that Americans can be known as the country that blows up children 30, 40, 50 years after a war happens. And then you wonder, why don't we care about sex trafficking or all these other things? Well, that's the policy. So, and now, the F-16s are capable of carrying nuclear bombs. So the Russians have said, if you are sending a plane and we can't tell if it has a nuclear bomb on it, do you think we're going to wait until it's over our territory before we shoot it down? No, we're going to blow up the airfields. We're not going to let these planes get off the ground. Ukraine doesn't have airports that can launch F-16s. Who does? Germany, Romania. In other words, this war it's unbelievable. So on August 6th, that is the 78th anniversary of the United States dropping the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima. And I am part of a coalition which includes a wild array of people, so-called right and left, the Libertarian Party, the Working Party, the whatever it's called. People's Party, that's what it's, not working. People's Party, Libertarian Party, people who don't have affiliates, Jimmy Dore, you know, all kinds of people, Kim Iverson. It's going to be from 1 to 4 at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza on Sunday, the 6th of August. Everybody should be out there. I can tell you the whole world is looking at us and they're saying, what is up with the American people? Do you really agree with this lunatic in the White House? Do you like having, I don't know if people saw Glenn Greenwald when he showed all of our representatives who were like Nadler, soiling himself while speaking in public. And then we had Mitch McConnell who freezes, Biden who can't get off the stage, Pelosi who can't get up off her knee. this is the United States. We're a nuclear superpower, and we have a bunch of people who belong in a special care nursing facility who are Dianne Feinstein, who claims she voted on stuff when she wasn't there. I mean, you have to think, so we need to get in the street. We have to be in the street. We have to be visible. Also, because what we all just went through, your vote right now doesn't count. It has to be changed. But right now it doesn't count, so you have to be in the street. You have to. I also, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Dog Hammarskjöld Plaza, right across from the United Nations. There also at 6 p.m. is a concert of the Mozart Requiem at All Souls Unitarian Church for the same purpose. And then something on Monday, which I think people would be interested in that you may not know. The Canadian minister who prayed for the truckers, who has been thrown in jail, and they're saying he's an eco-terrorist and something or other. There's a demonstration tomorrow in front of the Canadian consulate for Reverend Pawlowski, who is the pastor who prayed for the truckers, which is apparently a federal crime in Canada. So that's tomorrow at 2 o'clock at 466 Lexington at 45th Street. But I would just say, look, the world has changed. And unfortunately, because the news media sucks in this country, we don't have a sense. When our leaders go to Africa, this is the last thing I'll say, they're having an Africa-Russia forum right now in St. Petersburg, just ended. Unfortunately, we terrorized a bunch of African leaders, but 21 African heads of state were there, and then others, 49 African nations went there. And these leaders say, you know, when China comes to my country, we get a railroad. When Russia comes, they build a nuclear power plant. When an American comes to our country, they give us a lecture on LGBTQIA. I mean, that is what they say. So again, we should give some thought to the world is looking for the good America. They're looking for the good America, and we need to be visible in the streets. So I have literature. I'd like to see everyone there on August 6th at the UN at 1 o'clock, and anyone who can make it to the Canadian consulate tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That also is important. And thank you, and keep up the fight.
Folks. All right, so let's get before we continue, I just want to bring up a few people, just say a few words. So they're about to speak. Samantha, can we get All right, of course, this is it. And by the way, before I continue with this, donations, please, because like I said, you see what we're doing here, you know, things like this are going to cost. So please, if you can support, be very appreciative. The table up there for donations, I really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. But with that said, now these are, you know, we mentioned earlier, Samantha did. Sorry about that. But she had a team that really helped her in her campaign, and I've worked with them prior to my personal campaign. And, you know, I feel like I said, now I'm today because this is my first official grassroots meeting with the CRA, and I couldn't think of a team better to bring up. Is this team that we worked together, we fought together, we grind together through, you know, rain, hell, you know, wind, whatever. And wherever you brought us, we came out there working hard, 8-hour, 10-hour days, 12-hour days. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And just for us to work the way we did in this women's campaign, for us to say we only got 140 votes, straight BS, you know, pure propaganda.
They did it again.
And they will try to do it again, but it's not going to happen this time. But I want to say, you know, we got a few words that from these people I want them to speak, and then we're going to go from there. This is what we do. This is the team that we built together. I want this team to be a bigger team from a year from now, be bigger the year after, and grow and grow and grow to the numbers you can't even count anymore. And I can speak and say a few words.
Well, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit about the GOP that's as corrupt can be. I can speak for the one that's in the Bronx County. when we were speaking earlier about how much money he purportedly made, allegedly made with the Cummings campaign. $1 million, okay? So we exposed that in the Bronx. We let the Bronx residents know what was really going on with the GOP. Somebody asked, how do we get rid of the corrupt, seeds? I call them the seeds, the rotten seeds, the corrosion, because they are a decay that needs to be, weaned out of the beautiful garden that we're trying to keep here in our city, in our state, and in our country. There are ways. Again, first and foremost, we need diehard people, everyone, to step up and help in the process. We can remove each chairman, right? So they're the seed, they're the ones that if it's corrupt at that lowest level, imagine how vast the corruption gets as it goes to across the nation. I'm gonna let the genius here speak to you about, because he is a whiz, the both of them right here, they're like the best in the industry, speak to you about how it happens, but it can be done, and I'm looking forward to anyone to help us, because we'll begin the process of making it happen as well. I'm gonna roll it over to Phil Grillo.
So how many of you know what a reorganization of the party is? Does anyone know what that is? Anyone? Anyone know what a Republican reorganization is?
No,
No? Not one person? Well, there's the party chairmen, the vice chairmen, they're elected from other Republicans, from county committee members. The Republican Party reorganizes every odd year. This year, we have one. We just had one because we missed one during the pandemic. We have another one this September. So, in order to elect a chairman, you need county committee members to vote for that chairman and vote them in. You can do this by proxy vote. Now, I do recall somebody foiling all the Republican county committees in New York City, not too long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And you get the names of all the people in the county committee. By the way, most people who are on the county committee don't know that they're in the county committee. They don't know that they're on the county committee. They just put them on. And then the chairmanship is voted by proxy. And what they do is, it's people from the Board of Elections that they appoint to $165,000 a year, no-show jobs, that sit there and collect these proxies with any signature on it. No one's checking signatures. And so the county committee members, this has been done. So I was on a campaign one time to take over the Queens County GOP. And I did it with an outside group. I did it so well that the Queens County GOP pulled me out of that group and said, we want you, we need you, we don't want you against us. And they pulled me in. That's exactly how it went down. I was slamming on the doors of county committee members to get another chairman put into Queens. And it's doable. In a place like the Bronx, nobody in the Bronx, there's like 10 Republicans in all of the Bronx, none of them know that they're on the county committee. In the South Bronx, are you kidding? Yeah, she won her county committee. I put her on the ballot for county committee in the Bronx, and she won in the 18th election district of the 82nd Assembly District. So, I just want to let you know, you can change the leadership in the parties. You can, through the clubs, certain clubs endorse certain chairmen. Most of those club members are county committee members. You don't have to be a county committee. You can knock on someone's door. You're allowed to knock on people's door and say whatever you want. They have a right to close that door. You're allowed to knock on people's doors and say, do you know you're a county committee member? What's that? You're elected. You're actually elected in the Republican Party. You don't know it? No. Who did that? And to get those people to give you your proxy votes and switch them. Flip their own county committee. Rather than running 300-400 people for county committee, go after the county committee that they have current, because they don't know that they're county committee, and get them to vote for a new chairman.
group together. If you're in Manhattan, pick a new chairman if you don't like the chairman that's there. The chairman appoints the commissioner, which is a $202,000 job. The deputy chief clerk is appointed by them. And all of the other workers were pensions at the Board of Elections. That's what the chairman does. Now, in the Bronx and in Queens, the chairman have had a history of selling the Republican line and going to prison for 10, 15 years. Bribery. It's just a matter of about 4 or 5 years before they all get cleaned out again from their own corruption. So the only way to change the party is to, maybe see Miss Saw Diane here and say, can we borrow 200 of those people that you have on your campaign? Because it's an effort that you need 200 people 7 days a week to beat them at their own cheating. You have to outdo them so that they can't cheat. And then they appoint no-show jobs, they pick candidates, they're in charge of picking the candidate that runs against NOC. The one that can raise the most money, not the one that's gonna win. So it can be done. You can take over Bronx County, Queens County, Staten Island, all of these GOP fractions, even Nassau County, Suffolk, it can be done. And that's what should start happening in boroughs like the Bronx, because it's the low-hanging fruit. Oh, and I'd like to tell you as well about low-hanging fruit. If you want to pick candidates, the Conservative Party is in shambles. That's real easy. They have like 45 people in all of Manhattan. Go around, get 3 of them, register some people conservative. You've got the chairmanship during the reorganization, absolutely. So the real low-hanging fruit is the Conservative Party, because when the Conservative Party picks candidates, the Republican Party usually endorses them. So now you get to pick candidates. There's no party chairman in Queens, New York. Anyway.
Yeah, this question is for Samantha. Give her the mic, great. Samantha, can you share your election? Because I'm getting different numbers. Like, I know you guys went out in masses and got tons of signatures. I'm sorry. Can I ask a question or? Okay. Can you just share, I'm on your side, so I don't know what he's telling you. I'm on your side. Okay? All I do is talk about good things about you. I truly believe in you.
He is not speaking.
Okay, because I know Phil. I know Phil. I know Phil. I know him since 2020. But my question is.
Can we get attention over here?
Attention, please.
This is pertinent to everyone in the room, please.
Can you clarify the last run? Because there's different numbers being thrown out. I understand the amount of signatures that you got. How many votes did you get actually? Because there's too many numbers.
From my understanding, I watched it on election night. I think it was an extremely low number. And that number did not equate to what we saw in the field, what we saw at the poll sites. It's hard to say now. I don't know. Because once I saw it, I said, okay, this is something that the legal team is going to have to review, and that's what they are reviewing right now. I don't know how far we're going to get with it. I do know that everything that was spoken tonight hit home, because it's a reality. It's a reality that's shaking us all to our core, right? Will I ever know? I don't know what my real number was. If that was the actual number, what I could say is what we saw in the field, what we experienced at the door, what we saw on election night at the poll sites, nowhere near comes close to what they reported.
No, the reason why I ask is because, in my opinion, I believe you won. There's no way in the world that a candidate can win when they're destroying their own district. So I believe that you did, and
I won the district in the Senate race. I won it in high numbers.
Right,
so I had name recognition. It's a hard thing for us to pinpoint, because look, we have the auditors here, we have other information. It's hard. So we leave it up to the legal team, and hopefully we get an answer sometime in the future. I don't know.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's taking a while, but it's going to happen. But I just want to encourage the poll workers and poll watchers. I worked for a candidate in 2020, Elisa Nahum. we proved that her seat was stolen. We proved it. And New York Citizen Audit was very effective in doing that. As poll workers, what we did was we made affidavits of what we witnessed. So that's all documented. What we saw in the polls, they call the cops on us.
They did the same thing to me, the cops were called.
Right, so I just want to encourage the poll workers and poll watchers to document what.
The problem also is, there's not enough Republican poll watchers and poll workers,
Well, that could
right?
change, that could change.
I mean, it'll change when we get rid of the rotten seed. We must really take a look at the GOP.
Well, we
have to look at the establishment. That's where the problem is.
Well, we got to push for the work because November's around the
Well,
corner.
no matter how much work we push, if the GOP is not going to partake in it, right? We told in my Senate race by the GOP chairman and the deputy chief of the Board of Elections that they were solid with Republican poll workers.
Right.
When we got to the election site, there was more Democrat registered purported Republican representatives. They told us that they needed the job, they're Democrats, but they were sworn in to represent the Republicans, and we didn't see any of that representation. So, you know, bottom line is for me, what I've learned these two past races is if we don't clean up the GOP, the establishment, then this is just a repeat, because if the GOP chairman appoints the commissioner, right? And the commissioner is dirty and is doing his finagling with the other side, and they appoint all these other representatives at the Board of Election, then we could scream until our head pops, we're not fixing anything. We fix it by removing the rotten seeds that are producing this. We clean it, we clean this up. All we want is a balanced representation. I would never say that Democrats should not be in office, right? Because it's called checks and balances. We have a balance of representation across the board, Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, independents, so that there is a proper representation for all people in this state.
I just want to encourage you with the little bit of, or the poll workers watchers that you do get, that they would be willing to document, because we gave, in 2020, we gave all our information to New York Citizen Audit. All the poll watchers affidavits, we handed to them. So when the day comes and we have a court case, because it's going to come, because now they went nationwide. When you go nationwide, you have a better chance of getting donations and a judge and a lawyer that's not crooked. Once that day comes, we already have all the affidavits from 2020.
I definitely am going to stay on top of it. I'm going to hand it over to William now.
Okay, one other thing that I should mention, because I did mention county committee. So you may, first, county committee, state committee, this is all non-paid volunteer position. So you may be wondering, well, what exactly is county committee? What exactly is state committee? First of all, your district leaders are your state committee men, state committee women. As far as county committee, you really only have, for lack of a better word, 3 main jobs. When petition time comes, we really expect you to get maybe 10 or 20 signatures. Think about it. Because if you had 2 county committee members in every single election district of every single assembly district, and hypothetically, let's just say 100 election districts per assembly district, that would be 200 people per assembly district. If 200 people got 10 or 20 signatures each, that's 1,000, 2,000 signatures right there, and the candidates and the party would not have to stress themselves out as to how we're going to get these signatures and qualify these candidates to get on the ballot. The second thing is to try to find good quality people to run for office. And then the third thing is to help them get elected. That's basically what county committee and state committee really is. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I love doing what I'm doing, but with all due respect, I can't get 1 million signatures or 1 million candidates every single year.
Can I ask you a question? Okay, I joined the county committee, and can I ask you a question?
Yeah, how did you become a committee man?
Okay, no, I became a committee man, and I know the process. But here's the problem. When I got there, the first meeting I attended was to nominate some candidates for that particular phase of the election process. the chairman said, I motion to keep the agenda as advertised, meaning I couldn't say nothing. Now, I want to say something about Meliotakis. I want to say something about the process, why they do what they do. Who decides on these things ahead of time? It's all fixed, okay? And I know there's bylaws, I got to read them, I got to study them, but I have no faith in the system. I am totally, almost finished with it.
I hear what you're saying. So basically, every 2 years in the odd number years, like I said, you have county committee. Now, I've been a county committee person since 2005. And every 2 years, I have to run for re-election. And provided that nobody runs against me, come 9 o'clock on primary night, I'm automatically re-elected. Provided that I don't have a primary. Now, if I have a primary and somebody's running against me, well then, that's different. I have to go ahead and campaign and convince my fellow Republicans why they should vote for me for county committee. Once you get elected county committee, then the party has to set the date for both their judicial convention and their reorganizational meeting. And it's at their reorganization meeting that you vote on the bylaws and the executive committee and all the other party business that you gotta do.
No, what level do you have to be? There was no reorganization meeting. There was no reorganization meeting.
They're supposed to be.
Oh, okay, so that's in the
But one of
bylaws.
the things I want to say, I was elected as a committeeman last year, and I went to a reorg meeting. And they did not allow like new county committee people to speak up or say anything. They just vote them in. So the thing is, you need to have more of a war room here on exactly what to do, because they're not telling newcomers exactly what to do. I don't even know if I'm a committeeman. I went and did signatures. My mom is at the table. She went and did signatures. We live in Manhattan. I can't even really say if I'm really a committeeman. They're not even allowing us to look and see who are the other committee people that I can reach out to that we can work together with. So everything is just a lot of non.
I may be able to help you with that. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Okay.
2025.
Right. So who can respond?
September's too close, to take over the Republican parties, any county. But it's in every odd year, so it's again in 2025. I mean, just to go ahead and maybe practice a little bit, get to know who the county committee members are, little by little. You can take over any county that you want with a big enough size group. So if there's somebody who would love to be the chairman or whatever it is in any borough, they have to fight for it. They might lose the first round. I've seen some people trying and they fizzle out. And the party has control. The party has control of their county committee. There's certain counties where they've never been challenged. They've never challenged the county committee in the Bronx. They would be so unprepared for it, they wouldn't know what was going on. Because, just think about it. Republican county committees all throughout the Bronx. Maybe in the 82nd Assembly District, Frogs Neck, Pelham Bay. That's about it. Anywhere else, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We were knocking on doors in certain areas, me and Christopher, they're like, Republicans. They're like, no, you got the voter rolls, and we went out of the book. We go out of the book to make sure that they can't knock them off the ballot. We had, they tried to play games with us. We had not one signature that they challenged.
So we
on city council.
Yeah. Committeemen to train in the next 16 months.
Right, we try to do it together, but I can get anyone on the ballot. In Manhattan, for a county committee member, you might need one signature because it's 5% of the registered voters in the election district. So it's very low numbers.
So you can put hundreds of county committee people in. Mr. De La Cruz, how are you? You're a Democrat. You're a Democrat district leader, huh? A what? In the Bronx. Oh, in Manhattan. Well, you have to go ahead and get yourself on the ballot and fight them in a primary. Well, the thing is to put a coalition together. She's very rich. Every 4th of July, you know.
So Bill, can I have a comment? So I just want to say, I think this was a really, so I think this was a wonderful meeting and that we get a chance to talk. So I am coming into America and I have no clue about anything that you guys are saying. I have no clue. So I'm a person, I must see something written on paper. And I like when you said that this is 2023, so it's too late to get it.
It's in September, yeah.
Right. So the lady she made a comment, and the thing is that we have been waking up to the nonsense that the Democrats are doing. So like when I came into this game 3 months ago, I didn't even know that the Republican clubs here. No, I'm learning that the Republican clubs all broke down. I never knew that. I thought that the Democratic just run everything.
The Democrat Party reorganizes as well.
Huh?
They have a reorganization on the even years.
Right.
The Democrat Party reorganizes on the even years, and Republicans on the odd.
So going on the point that they said we didn't know the end of the coalition together. So for me, now understanding America, I have a database. And America is large. So I have a database of all the senators, I have a database of all of the House, whether it's Democrats. I have a database of everything. Because I don't know names. I don't know anyone. That's what I did for myself. So for me, going forward, we need a database. You can say you need to be a county, this, or whatever it is. That makes no sense in my head. Even some people.
Right, we're going to put together with Christopher and others. We're going to put together an organization.
Together a database that because I'm telling what I'm doing. I have no idea what the camera said, but I'm doing in my own district. And I'm knocking on doors and I'm talking to people and they're getting to know me. And I'm getting to understand something that I'm telling others that I didn't know. In my area, South Ozone Park, it is Republican. I would have never guessed that when I stepped to the door, knock on doors or whatever it is. And I'm shocked. It's a West Indian area. And it is a majority red area. And these people, as I'm talking to them, never had a representation.
Well, we know, Mr. De La Cruz can tell you about the Dominicans changing over. Maybe that's, you're saying.
The point that I'm making is, I'm not, what I'm saying is, all that we're saying, we can have something to see when they're going to different places to say, this is the person on there, this is what they're doing. And they have that hierarchy.
New York City votes. You can see who's running, but New York City.
In every county and whatever, what it is and all that. Because I'm telling you, I'm understanding this.
But they don't teach you. The party's not going to teach you how to do that.
Honestly, I'm not interested in the party. I'm not interested in that. I'm just saying now, when I'm leaving, that's what I hope we'll begin to put that together. So we're not hypothetical. We know we can see that in my district, whoever that is, this is who's there, this is the representation, this is who in charge, and have that worked out. If we can do that, that would be great. So that's something to move forward to. So nobody's guessing who's who, and if we can do what we do with Biden, we can put a picture to the name, not just the name, a picture to the name. So going forward, and I'm telling you, I'll volunteer to help put that database together, because that's what I describe. So I'm not in this meeting saying the GOP isn't done. This is a grassroots movement. I will help put that database together. I need it, and I think it will help other people going forward to see that database.
I get it back. All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the event. And hope you guys had a really good understanding of what our main goal is. We're bringing people together, like I said, blueprint to winning elections. It's grassroots. It's a blueprint. That's it. Boots on the ground. This is what we're going to do here, folks. It's going to be monthly events. We got a team we're putting together now. You guys want to talk to me afterwards if I get your information, if we can continue to build this team. This is the beginning stages here, folks. Beginning stages, and we're going to close it out with a good friend of mine, Sonny, again with the God Bless America. Oh, yes, we got the get the details. Yes, and also I'll let people know about the event tomorrow. It's going to be over. It's going to be at time 1:30 p.m. gathering. So 1:30 p.m. gathering, 2 p.m. sharp, and it's going to be over the Consulate General Canada in New York. The address is 466 Lexington Ave, 45th Street, New York, New York. So we're having a rally there. The Free Pastor Arthur Pulaski, religious and political prisoner in Canada. It's going to be a protest on his behalf. For guys who are familiar, he's a pastor in Canada who really got authority. He's just getting, it's what do you call it? Pretty much it's just wrongfully charged to try to hit him with, or just being a Christian, to be honest with you. It's being a God-fearing man is what it boils down to. So we're not going to let that happen the best we can. So we're going to be out to the rally tomorrow, 1:30 gathering, 2 p.m. sharp, 466 Lexington Ave, 45th Street, New York. Oh, before everybody leaves, real quick, I just want to take a quick photo.
All right, everybody.
All right, hold on, everybody. All right, everybody. Last thing, we're going to Sunny pull out with God Bless America. You guys to sing along. We'll be very, very appreciated. I'm sorry, the battle of the Republic before we get to that. Sunny. All right, everybody. One second.
All right, are you guys ready? Let's close up this meeting, this important and amazing meeting. Again, I want you to join me. I'm sure you know this song. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He's trembling on the vintage when the grace of God, louder, he has loosed the faithful lightning of his favored son. His truth is marching on. Sing it together. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth
you everybody for taking your time out, taking your time to come to my event today. Very much appreciated. Can't say enough. But I can end with always, the way I always like to end. May God bless everybody out there listening, and may God bless the United States of America. Peace.